confirmed inside there.
It's one gift, but it's so many different things.
Show someone where they came from this holiday season with Ancestry DNA, now on sale at Ancestry.com.
It's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles. Here's a winner: fall football and Chickies and Pete's mouth-watering snow crab legs. For a limited time, buy one and get one free snow crab legs every Tuesday and Wednesday. Enjoy the sweet, delicate flavor of snowy white crab meat dressed in our special blend of seasonings and spices. Pair it with an ice-cold draft beer or one of our signature cocktails. Buy one and get one free snow crab legs every Tuesday and Wednesday for a limited time. Restrictions apply. Chickies and Pete's.
When you hear this,
They've got him again!
and this,
He scored!
and this,
Oh boy, what a move by Embiid!
you think of us. We are sports. 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a town square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios. Here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, that's the ESPN mobile app. And we are talking about the Eagles' big win yesterday in the rain, in overtime. Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press will review the entire NFL news slate coming up with him in less than 20 minutes from now. A lot of news popping off today in the aftermath of NFL Sunday, with Frank Reich being fired by the Carolina Panthers. Reports out there that Brian Johnson could be a head coaching candidate this offseason around the NFL. So a lot to get to here. As always, we'd love to hear from you guys. 609-403-0973. That is the text board. Also, you can DM the show to the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. So, full disclosure, I got to actually go to the Eagles game yesterday. I was in the house. I was in the building for the game. Shout out to Jeff in Ocean City for making it happen. Jeff didn't have to come to me with, the opportunity to go to the Eagles game, but he did. It was very thoughtful of him, and I got to go to the Eagles game. Obviously, when you commit to going to an Eagles game, it's a rain or shine opportunity. And obviously it did not shine yesterday. So I didn't really have an opportunity to maybe enjoy or participate in some of the non-sloppy weather elements of going to an Eagles game, we'll call it. But nonetheless, so my Eagles viewing experience was through the prism of being at the game and then seeing the replay of the game later. And I had a few takeaways from the game. Number one, I don't think it can be appreciated how much the Philadelphia fan really impacts a game at Lincoln Financial Field, because there were multiple times where you felt the crowd get loud, and then the Bills had a bad moment or a bad play or make a mistake. There were a bunch of times that literally happened yesterday's game. That's the first thing I really walked away. I don't think people genuinely appreciate when we say, I've been to a lot of Phillies games. I've been to a handful of Sixer games. And anyone who I know has ever been to a game talks about how the crowd is into it. And I got to tell you guys, you don't appreciate what we're saying unless you've lived it. And I think that the Philly fans deserve a lot of credit for impacting the Bills in the game yesterday. That's the first thing I want to get out there. Number two, I haven't heard this talked about enough during the course of the last 24 hours on any radio show or TV show or any platform. The fans were literally booing the Eagles at halftime. And even though Philadelphia now has tied an NFL all-time record for consecutive games with a comeback victory, Yes, they literally tied an NFL record. They have now had 4 straight games where they were trailing at halftime and they had to come back and win the game. Despite that knowledge, despite knowing that just the week before, in similar inclement weather circumstances, that the Eagles were also down 17-7. And in the previous game, they came back and won. Eagle fans were still so annoyed with that performance by the Birds yesterday that they booed them at halftime. And whether the Eagles players or coaches absorbed that or not, I have no idea. I haven't heard any of the players or coaches really talk about that in any any press conference or anything on social media, but it was incredibly, you could tell. If you were in the building, you knew what they were booing, okay? There was not, pumped in crowd noise. It wasn't a couple people razzing. No, there was loud, boisterous booing at the end of that half. And it goes to show you the reason why I was saying yesterday on the Locker Room with Billy Schweim, why it's important to win your home games. The Philly fan wants to be on the side of their team. And if you create an environment where people they're not coming to Philadelphia, they're not coming for a playoff game. It's Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses going off. It's the loud chants. It's the noise factor. It's the intensity. It's the fact that there was not a single person in that building that left before Jalen Hurts scored the game-winning touchdown. That's what you are telling the world. That's why you need home field advantage. That's why every time Philadelphia has been to a Super Bowl in the last 20 years, it's because they had home field advantage in the conference championship game. And that's why a game like yesterday and the game this coming Sunday versus the 49ers are so essential. And I'm not trying to act like the Dallas and Seattle games are not important, but for you to keep winning at home and to get to Christmas Eve with a flawless home field record is so important. You have to show the world that coming to Philadelphia there's meaning to it. There's value behind it. All right. Now, the next thing I want to get to here on Game Night 97.3 ESPN FM 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. I'm Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Monday night. Aside from the fact that the 2 straight weeks they were down 17-7 at halftime, and they outscored their opponents in both games in the second half. This is now multiple games this season that Philadelphia has started out poorly. And I have had people say this to me in person yesterday. I have messages on my phone from people about this, DMs, texts, tweets, the whole 9 yards. It is getting to a point where it's hard to know how we characterize it because you don't want to be a negative Nancy the day after an Eagles win. But you have to be fair and critical about what we saw, which is, why are the Eagles constantly starting slowly? And this is not just the last couple weeks thing. This is a multiple games this year, multiple games last year, where you felt like the team was, whatever term you want to come up with, they were sluggish, they were hungover, they were unfocused, they didn't have the right game plan, whatever descriptor you want to put on that. The reality is that, why do the Eagles keep starting out slowly? Why are the Eagles seemingly a different team in the second half than the first half? I've heard people say that the Eagles may be the best second half team in the NFL. Well, that sounds great when you're doing a talk show or a debate show for content and for putting out, quotes and clips and, sizzle reels online. But it's still a problem that Philadelphia had basically double the yards in the second half than they did in the first half. And they outgained Buffalo considerably in the second half. And the question is, while it hasn't come back to bite them yet, will there come a game where them and their slow start does hurt them? Because the reason why they lost the Jets game was because of the turnovers. The turnovers just doomed them. The turnovers put them in a complete and utter black hole that they were never going to escape from, no matter how much hoping and praying was going on during that Jets game. And now, this is now 3 years under Nick Sirianni. And this is the real reason why that there are people out there who still have doubts about Sirianni, okay? It's because for as many games as Nick Sirianni has won as a head coach, remember, this is a guy who has done a great job at having his team in a position to win a lot of games recently. Okay? Nick Sirianni, him and Jalen Hurts together are 32-9. Nick Sirianni, 18-5 on the road. These are all amazing numbers and stats. But the problem is, when you win all those games, how many of those games could have been handled differently if you didn't have to make the in-game adjustments? For as much as we want to give Sean Desai and Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni and last year Shane Steichen credit for making adjustments, you still have to ask the question, why do they keep starting out slowly? And will it come back to bite them? All that being said, Jalen Hurts is my MVP. Jalen Hurts to me is the MVP of the league right now. And I will debate anyone until I run out of oxygen to debate this point too. Hurts is now 16-1 in his last 17 regular season starts and 27-2 in his last 29. Jalen Hurts is top 10 in the NFL in passing touchdowns, top 10 in rushing touchdowns, and he is top 5 in passer rating this year. And his numbers this season are actually better than last year through the first 11 games. He has more passing touchdowns, more rushing touchdowns than he did last year. So whatever your favorite sports betting platform is, and I'm not here to endorse any particular one because frankly, they're not paying me to endorse one. But if I were to tell you to go bet responsibly, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Jalen Hurts for MVP, to me, might be the safest bet right now because I don't see a guy in the league who is more of putting himself into a isolated elite category than him. All right, I'll rapid fire a couple texts off here. 609-403-0973. Joey D. at Vendor chimes in, says, Josh, Jalen Hurts and this team just seem poised and ready for anything teams that throw at them. What a great fighting win. It was legendary game yesterday from Joey D. and Ventnor. Yeah, Joey D. I said this multiple times recently. The Eagles are a team that gets into a brawl. They're not interested in a boxing match. They're not interested in the aesthetics. They don't care what you think about them. They're here to get their knuckles dirty, their knuckles bloodied, their fingers dirty. They're going to have face paint on their face. They're going to have, cuts on their arms, ripped jersey. They're going to do whatever it takes to win. I love that mentality. Tom from Margate says, I'm finally dried out from yesterday. We all booed the bad play calling. She says, but my daughter Katie got a standing ovation when she threw her husband's Buffalo Bills hat over the railing. Should he got a lucky number 11 brown jersey. I was at the game yesterday. Everything I had on was cold and wet, but it was a great game. Go Birds, Tom and Margate. Yeah, Tom, the weather definitely, I think, almost helped fuel the comeback, because at some point it was like everyone just decided this weather ain't going away. These weather forecasters are idiots. They couldn't even get the weather forecast right the morning of the game. We're here. We're rooting. We're into this game. We'll deal with us being wet and cold after the game. You're 100% right. Congratulations to your daughter for dumping her husband's Buffalo Bills hat. I mean, yeah, that's a bad move by her husband. Like, dude, don't come to a Philly game wearing the other team's stuff. All right, I see a text from Steven Ventnor and a couple others. I'll get to you guys coming up a little bit later in the hour, but coming up next, Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press will join me to talk about the Eagles, Frank Reich being fired, and more from around the NFL here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
With Black Friday savings all month long at the Home Depot, you get all the jingle bells and whistles you could wish for with LG appliances. With America's most reliable line of appliances per independent consumer study, you can take holiday doing to holiday done and always be ready to handle last-minute holiday gifts. Final days to save up to $900 on select laundry sets, including top brands like LG, with Black Friday savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Ends November 29th.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Dell's Cyber Monday event is their biggest sale of the year. Shop limited time deals on laptops like the stylish, innovative XPS 13, engineered to do it all on the Intel Evo platform. Plus, save big on ultra-sharp monitors and top brand accessories. It's the perfect time to upgrade any home, business, or gaming setup powered by Intel Core processors. Shop now at Dell.com/deals to take advantage of huge savings and free shipping. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
I hate free money and finishing first. Said no one ever. At Raceway Nissan on Ridge Bike, you'll finish first by saving big with Black Friday all month long. No money down, no interest, and no payments for 90 days. Finish first with up to a $1,000 Amex gift card with select purchases. And right now, lease a 23 Nissan Sentra for $169 a month. Stop by Raceway Nissan today or visit online at racewaynissanNJ.com. On approved credit, excludes tax, title, license, and fees. Stock number PY292955. Take dealer for details. Offer ends 11/30/23.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Birds beat the Bills in overtime. I'm Danny Ryan with your South Jersey Sports Center. The Eagles took down the Buffalo Bills 37-34 in overtime last night for their 10th win of the season. Jalen Hurts led the way with 5 total touchdowns, including the game-winning rushing touchdown. Next up, the Eagles welcome the 49ers to town on Sunday. Listen live right here on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage starts at 3. Maryland might have the call at 4:25. The Mainland Mustangs won the New Jersey State Group 4 Championship on Sunday with a 56-0 win over Ramapo at Rutgers. The 76ers return home tonight for a battle with the LA Lakers. Listen live on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage starts at 7 p.m. For more Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, and Flyers, download our free mobile app. Your forecast is next.
The Xfinity Mobile Black Friday sale is on now. Learn how to get a free line of mobile for 2 years with Xfinity Fast Internet and up to $800 off an eligible 5G phone. Visit Xfinity.com/Black Friday sale. Ends 12/5. Restrictions apply. Actual internet speeds vary. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. The wind will play a big part in the forecast over the next few days, blowing straight out of the west, carrying in colder air and adding a bite to that air too. Tonight, clearing cold, low of 31. Tomorrow will be blustery, high of only 38. Wind chill stuck in the 20s with a mix of sun and clouds, and flurries possible too. Wednesday, mostly sunny skies with a high temperature only around 39. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Rent, mortgage, car payments, life, it all adds up. So New Jersey is providing property tax relief to make New Jersey more affordable. Up to $1,750 for homeowners and up to $700 for renters. That's real New Jersey property tax relief to use for the things you need most. Apply for your renter or homeowner tax relief at anchor.nj.gov. Again, visit anchor.nj.gov to apply today.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
We'll get back to you guys' text in just a bit. Steven Ventnor, Jeff in Ocean City. We'll check in with you guys in just a bit. But right now, joining us, as he does each week, Rob Maaddi covers the NFL for the Associated Press. He is back with us again here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Rob, how's your day going over there?
Oh man, fantastic! Another victory Monday for you in the Delaware Valley. How about that? An improbable and unlikely one, the way they did that, but incredible, man.
Absolutely. And before we get to that, I do want to ask you about Frank Reich being fired, because I'm just going to give you my perspective. And I know as someone who covers the league, you kind of, you do have to say things a little differently than I do. So I'm just going to say my short piece, then you can take it from there. I think the Panthers owner is an imbecile. He is blaming the head coach for the GM building a bad roster. And whether Frank Reich wanted Stroud or somebody else wanted Bryce Young, the reality is that Frank Reich, Josh McCown, and Deuce Staley were not blocking for Bryce Young. They were not running routes for Bryce Young. And at the end of the day, the talent you put around a young quarterback is what matters. And if you want to blame those three coaches, then that organization is full of a bunch of idiots, in my opinion.
Josh, I don't know who made the decision to draft Bryce Young over CJ Stroud, and I still think it's too early to blame or to say that Bryce Young is a bust and say that CJ Stroud is clearly better than him, although through 11 games, that looks like it right now. I can tell you this, when I spoke to Frank Reich in March about it, he lit up talking about CJ Stroud, but he also was very complimentary of Bryce Young, and he emphasized to me how it was a collaborative process, which indicates to me that the owner was heavily involved in that decision. There have been others who have said and reported they feel that Frank wanted CJ and Tepper wanted Bryce Young. I know that Frank Reich got fired in Indy last year when he wanted Carson Wentz for another year and didn't get him, and then had to play through a season with Matt Ryan, clearly not the player he used to be, and then ended up with a losing year and getting fired midway through. Like you said, he's not making those decisions, or Josh McCown and Deuce Staley are not impacting the game and the way an offensive line, skill position players are. They didn't choose to pay Miles Sanders the money he got at running back and see him losing carries to Hubbard. This was a owner making a decision out of panic at this point in the season, and he still can't interview anyone in person from any of the playoff-bound teams until January 22nd. So he didn't give Frank Reich even a full year, completely scapegoating the head coach. And we've seen the revolving door in Carolina, and this points all to the owner. Frank Reich, I think, is first and foremost a good man, and I don't want to allow that to cloud my judgment of him as a head coach. He had success in Indy. His teams have always been off to slow starts. So something is off there. Whether it was in Indy, and clearly Carolina, it's the entire season, a slow start. But in Indy, at some point, he was able to get them to turn around and either go to the playoffs or be in playoff contention. Couldn't do that with no talent in Carolina. And I just think it's more of an ownership problem than it is a head coaching problem.
You mentioned about Frank Reich being a good man. I want to ask you because I know the Charlotte Observer was able to talk to him before he basically left town earlier. One of the things Reich said is he thinks his NFL journey is done, basically suggesting that maybe he's kind of like done dealing with all the coaching and everything. Does that surprise you at all that Frank's like, you know what, I'm kind of burned out now after what's happened in the last 2 stops?
I forget who it was. I think it was Rex Ryan who said he noticed that Frank looked like he aged 10 years this year, just on the sideline. Considering where Frank is at this stage of his life, the guaranteed money that's coming to him, he doesn't need to coach for money. I know he's got other priorities. I know he went to seminary school and he came out of that to go back into coaching. He's got grandkids. He's got family. He puts a lot into his foundation and the charitable work that he does. I could see him maybe doing a consulting role, an advisory role. We know his relationship with Nick Sirianni. I think it'll depend on where he has to live, where Carolina has kind of been home for that family, for the Reich family and Frank. So I don't know if considering how this ended there, if they're going to want to stay there or move again. But I know they've got family there, and that's kind of where he's got a lot of his grandkids and whatever. So it wouldn't surprise me. I didn't see those comments from the Charlotte Observer. I wanted to give him, I was going to reach out to him today, and I said, let me give him a little bit of time, but I don't have to write about it like the big guys at the Charlotte Observer. So they're on it. They're like, yeah, Frank, they wanted to get to him right away. I had a little bit of I look at it from a little bit of a different viewpoint. Probably going to write about it in a column at some point tomorrow.
Rob, with that being said, Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN, at Rob Maaddi on the Twitter X platform. You mentioned consulting. You mentioned Nick Sirianni. Well, despite the Eagles' win yesterday, and thanks to the fueled reporting of today's news cycle, Adam Schefter saying that Brian Johnson will be a potential head coaching interview candidate, Frank Reich getting fired. You know what Eagle fans do? They start asking about Frank Reich in Philadelphia. So I ask you, Rob, should Frank Reich be a consultant for Nick Sirianni and the Eagles offense that frankly has started out slowly multiple games this year?
Well, I will say this. The only time the Philadelphia Eagles won a Super Bowl in franchise history was with Frank Reich on the sideline as an offensive coordinator. So I'm not going to rule out Frank Reich based on what happened in Indy or Carolina. He's had success as an OC. He wouldn't be coming in here as an OC. I don't know what the rules are regarding him being fired, having guaranteed money, giving that up if in season. Like, I don't know if they could make that legitimately make sense this year. That could be something where if they lose Brian Johnson as an offensive coordinator, but I don't know that Frank might I don't know that he'll want that role. He's got that relationship with Nick, so he may. But you can't say no to someone who's had that kind of success. Carson Wentz played his best football in Philly and in his career with Frank Reich as the OC, and Nick Foles won a Super Bowl with Frank Reich as the OC. So I would never rule him out.
So then if Doug Peterson and Nick Sirianni both called Frank Reich, asking him to just, hey, we're not asking you to coach. We're not asking you to move your family, but hey, could you take maybe a day or two a week to sit down and maybe look over tape and send me your thoughts and notes? Whose call do you think he actually answers and helps out with?
That's a great question. I think the relationship with Nick is a little closer than with Doug. I think it extends over a few more years.
Okay.
I think Doug and Frank are more contemporaries, and Nick was more of like a mentee for Frank, who was the mentor. And I don't know this for fact, but I kind of feel like their relationship is a little closer.
Gotcha. I got to ask you a little more. I was actually at the game yesterday, Rob, for the
You
Eagles
suffered
win.
through the rain, or were you in the press box?
I was not in the press box, but I was very fortunate that the person who hooked me up with the ticket that I got in with, I was under the overhang.
Oh.
So I was exposed to the cold of the weather, but not the wet of the weather as much. Although I will admit, I didn't realize, I got to say, whoever these people are who like text and tweet at games, they are like savants, because I am like the sloppiest texter and tweeter if like the tiniest bit of weather impacts my my smartphone screen. But I digress. I thought it was interesting, Rob, that this is now 2 straight weeks. The Eagles down 17-7 at halftime, and they roar back in the second half. And I feel like we're all running out of adjectives. Resilient, tough-minded, whatever. What is the proper way to describe this Eagles team that has now won 4 straight games when they've been trailing at halftime?
It's a resilient team, and yesterday's game surprised me the most of all of them, because I thought this was a game they were going to lose, because I gave more credit to the Buffalo Bills as a talented team who was desperate to save their season with the upcoming schedule. I looked at it from the viewpoint of the ebbs and flows of a season, the emotional win Monday night in Kansas City on the road, coming home with a look-ahead game against the 49ers as a NFC Championship rematch, facing an AFC team where there's no rivalry, there's no history. The team that really needs it and is hungry. Only a 3-point spread, where I think on a neutral field, the Eagles should have been a 6-point favorite. So at home, they should have been an even bigger favorite. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to read into the line. I'm going to read into all this nonsense. The better team doesn't always win. They're not going to go 16-1. They can lose this, and it really doesn't make that much of a difference, because they just have to beat San Fran and Dallas and they're going to get the number 1 seed. And they fall behind 17-7, and the Bills are doing everything they can to lose that game, yet still winning at some point, 24-14, winning in overtime. And the Eagles find a way, and they come back. To me, that was the most impressive game of the year. The way they were able to pull that off, to win that against that Buffalo team, it speaks to how Buffalo is just a completely underachieving mess. And the Eagles are absolutely, Josh, the best team in the NFL. And it blows my mind that there are people who are analysts, who are whatever capacity that they cover this league, who look at it today and still go, the 49ers are the best team. The Eagle or someone. And then the line comes out, and the Niners are 2.5-point favorites in Philly. Based on what? They're an 8-3 team against a 10-1 team. Like, I'm not trying to look at this from a homeristic point of view. Frankly, I could care less if the Eagles win or lose. Don't let everybody in Philly hear me say that. But it's the truth of the matter. It doesn't impact my life one way or another. But they're the best football team in the NFL right now, and it's laughable that people can look at them and not give them that respect. It just truly blows my mind.
Well, maybe it is like 2017 then. Remember, hungry dogs run faster, underdogs, nobody likes us, we don't care. I mean, maybe that's the key to winning a championship, Rob, is that you can't be the front runner.
It might be. And you best believe, right? This week, Nick Sirianni's going to use that as fuel. He was calling them underdogs when they weren't. I'm sure he didn't like all the attention Mike McDaniel was getting going into the Dolphins Sunday night game, and how Mike McDaniel invented football, and he's this offensive guru and this offensive genius, because that came out in Nick's post-game comments and just the way he carried himself. Well, now they are actual underdogs. He's going to play this up. They might bring back those dog masks or whatever it is. Like, this is going to be a fun week, and It's going to be a great game. It wouldn't shock me if the 49ers win. I think the 49ers are a great team. I think the 49ers are the most balanced team in the NFL right now. But the numbers don't lie. 10-1 is 10-1. The way the Eagles have gotten to this point, they got it. They should get credit for it. The way they're able to beat KC and come back and beat Buffalo, I love what the 49ers can do. I'm a huge Brock Purdy guy and a Christian McCaffrey guy. And I think it's just going to be a great game on Sunday, to the point where I'm supposed to go and I'm planning to go to I'm pissed that they made the Panthers game 4:00. It's going to be opposite. I'm going to be sitting there at that game with my laptop tuned into the Eagles-Niners because that's the one I want to see. I even got a flight to Philly, but I don't want to come back. I already had it for other reasons. Was going to plan on coming up, but I just don't. I want to stay away. I'm not ready to go back.
You're not ready to come back.
My last experience in Philly, I went to 4 of the 5 home games this year, and every time it's more of a miserable experience than the previous one. Traffic's gotten so crazy in Philly. It takes 2 hours to get in. It takes an hour and a half to get out. I'm like, no, I don't want no part of it anymore. I'm done.
Rob Maaddi's speaking some hot truth here on Game Night on 97.3.
It's become the worst stadium to go to, Josh. Like, I've been to 23, 24 stadium. I've never had, except
is it really worse than Washington though?
To get in and out. I don't know what's happened over the last 2 years, with the exception of SoFi. SoFi, I had a 3.5 hour it was a Thursday night game a year or two ago. And it was a 3.5 hour journey. But that's LA. California might be the worst state in the country.
Yeah, I mean, it's Los Angeles, California might be the worst commuter city on planet Earth. Honestly,
it's miserable. It's horrible there.
Jalen Hurts, he has more passing touchdowns, more rushing touchdowns than he did through the first 11 games last season. So, Rob, should Jalen Hurts actually win the MVP this year?
He's got to be the clear front runner at this point. A couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that some voters talked to me about A.J. Brown having such a great season. The next thing you know, you don't do anything for 2 games, and they still find ways to beat the Chiefs and beat the Buffalo Bills. I mentioned that I thought maybe A.J. will take some votes away from Jalen, the way Christian McCaffrey is going to take some votes away from Brock Purdy. At this point, that's to me, Jalen is the front runner, but ultimately it's going to come down to, I believe, and I'm going to look this up, but I think it's the best player on one of the 2 number 1 seeds, because it's got to be to me, it's a most valuable player award goes to the guy who impacted his team the most and had success. And there's an offensive player of the year award. There's a defensive player of the year award for guys who have great numbers. And then who cares what their teams do. But for MVP, it matters what your team does. And until the 18th week is finished, and until we know who the number 1 seeds are, the only exception, Josh, I think this year, and I had this conversation earlier today, CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans, if they get into the playoffs, as great as he's played, given where they were for the past 3 seasons, they don't need to be a number 1 seed for him to warrant serious consideration.
That's a good, interesting point. Before I let you go, because we didn't hit on the AFC, so just a quick one before I let you go. How on earth does Brandon Staley still have a job?
Yeah, when you see Frank Reich get fired before Brandon Staley, it's like, what is going on here? Brandon Staley's guy, he's a guy who came in as a defensive guru, and his defense is worse each season. Right. His offense has never lived up to expectations when he's got such a tremendously talented quarterback and some skill position play like Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler. He's certainly got to be on the way out. And I don't know who they're going to bring in. You would think that they want to look at an offensive-minded guy since the defensive-minded guy didn't work. And then there's some thought, well, maybe Belichick, if he wants to continue coaching and pursue Don Shula's record, he would want to land somewhere where like ownerships. You got a guy in his 70s who has sucked in his career without Tom Brady. You got to question whether or not, but he's got 6 Super Bowl rings. You need to sell tickets in LA, so he might work there. I just don't know if that's one of the landing spots for him. But yeah, Brandon Staley's got to be on his way out sooner rather than later.
Before I let you go, they're adding more fuel as the 49ers to the bulletin board, because when apparently there's a video of Deebo Samuel now from NBC Sports San Francisco. One of the reporters asked him, "Do you regret calling James Bradbury trash in the offseason?" He said, "I regret nothing I say." So we got that. Add that to the bulletin board. As we roll out the door with you, Rob, the Athletics, Joe Person and Richard Deitch are both reporting that Greg Olsen would be interested if Dave Tepper called him at the head coaching job.
Do a Jeff Saturday, huh? Out of the booth and into that job. I wonder if David Tepper would call Greg Olsen, but there were, people were in uproar last year when Irsay did that with Saturday. When Houston considered Josh McCown, everybody was like, "You got to pay your dues" and all that. Is there going to be the same energy towards Greg Olsen doing that? Everybody should say, "I would be interested." Why the heck wouldn't you be interested if you're going to get that phone call? Shoot, I'll throw my name in the mix. If David Tepper wants to call me, I know nothing about coaching being a head coach in the National Football League, but I'm also interested in that position. I promise you, I'll surround myself with the best staff, and I'll just be a leader of men who motivates people spiritually and emotionally for the game, but I won't make any other decisions other than maybe once in a while going for it on 4th down. I think I can look at the analytics, just like Brandon Staley does.
He's Rob Maaddi, at Rob Maaddi on the Twitter X platform. Of course, check out the Pro Football Podcast, AP Pro Football Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Like, subscribe, download. Also, Faith on the Field, heard Saturday and Sunday mornings here on 97.3 ESPN. Rob, great stuff today. Appreciate you jumping on.
You got it, Josh. Take care, my friend.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM. We'll get back to text board. Jeff in Ocean City. Also, Steven Ventnor got some messages to get to coming up on the other side. Hanging out with you on Monday Night. But don't forget Sixers basketball coming up tonight. Sixers and Lakers here on 97.3 ESPN.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Maxey from well beyond the arc. It is Tyrese Maxey, a 30-footer. From
It's Sixers-Lakers tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
The Xfinity Mobile Black Friday sale is on now. Learn how to get a free line of mobile for 2 years with Xfinity Fast Internet and up to $800 off an eligible 5G phone. Visit Xfinity.com/Black Friday sale. Ends 12/5. Restrictions apply. Actual internet speeds vary. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
With GMF financing, qualified buyers excludes Corvette, excludes prior sales.
When you need a car, there's only one thing to know. There's no beating Bennett. While other dealers are still selling at or even above MSRP, Bennett is selling new vehicles at the GM supplier employee price. Not one penny more. That could easily save you 10% or thousands of dollars on your next car. But that's just the beginning, because Bennett gives you all the rebates. Not either or, you get both. And if you want used, the news gets better. Bennett is paying a whopping minimum $10,000 for any trade towards any pre-owned in stock. That's a minimum $10,000 for total junk. Imagine how much more you'll get if your trade actually runs. And finally, our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction, not how much you spend, so there's never any pressure. It's actually a very pleasant experience. But don't take our word for it. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
At the Home Depot, we have all kinds of trees, but the one thing they have in common is they were all made for joy. Like the 7.5-foot Jackson Noble Fir artificial Christmas tree for only $2.99. It easily clicks into place and comes to life with 1,200 color-changing lights in 8 different remote control settings. When you buy your tree at the Home Depot, not only will you get more out of it, you'll be able to put more under it. Bring home joy with your perfect tree from the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Spoiled supermarket meat, sawdust like fillers, artificial preservatives?
Hold on there. I'm veterinarian Dr. Marty Goldstein. You don't want your dog eating any of that. These potentially harmful ingredients are found in many of today's popular dog foods, but not in Nature's Blend, a freeze-dried raw dog food with real cuts of meat, omega-3 rich seeds, and superfood veggies and fruit.
Nature's Blend is designed to help support your dog's playfulness, healthy skin, soft coat, easy digestion, and youthful mobility.
Your dog will go bonkers over Nature's Blend savory flavor and texture.
For a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and receive a free festive holiday dog sweater with select orders. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511.
I guarantee it with a 100% 90-day return of your purchase price.
Offer available with select orders while supplies last. Text fees may apply. You may receive up to 1 additional text. Text stop to opt out. Paid for by Dr. Marty's Pets.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-294-8831 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-294-8831. That's 800-294-8831. What do you have to lose? Call 800-294-8831. Again, 800-294-8831.
And now, a holiday wish from the New Jersey Lottery Scratch-Offs Division.
We wish you holiday riches. Give the gift of holiday riches. Holiday scratchers can bring holiday riches and make your whole gift list cheer. Give holiday scratch-offs to friends and your kin. There's over 41 million prizes for Jersey to win.
We did it! Share wishes for holiday riches.
Must be 18 years old to buy a lottery ticket. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Parents are urged to think twice about giving lottery tickets to children.
Pediatric portrayal.
Life can be so unpredictable. After losing my dad, it made me think about my family if something were to happen to me. I had heard about life insurance through Ethos and how easy it was to get coverage. They were right. In 10 minutes, I was covered. And boom, family protected.
Ethos fast and easy online term life insurance up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
Cyber Golden Gable deals are going on now at Lowe's. Right now, get the best deals of the season, like up to 40% off select pre-lit artificial Christmas trees, holiday lights, and more. Plus, get up to 50% off select tools and accessories from brands like DeWalt, Craftsman, and Cobalt. Start shopping today to find these savings in-store and online, because Lowe's knows deals. Valid through 11/27 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And did we mention it's aluminum free? With over 200,000 five-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code RADIO20 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, free product of your choice, and ships free with code RADIO20. LUME deodorant.com code RADIO20 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. Love it or return it for free. That's LUME deodorant.com code RADIO20.
I hate free money and finishing first. Said no one ever. At Raceway Kia on Ridge Pike, you'll finish first by saving big with Black Friday all month long. No money down, no interest, and no payments for 90 days. Finish first with up to $1,000 Amex gift card with select purchases. And right now, buy a 2023 Kia Forte LXS for under $20,000. Stop by Raceway Kia today or visit online at racewaykia.com. Approved credit with Kia Method, excludes tax, title, license, and fees. See dealer for details. Offer ends 11/30/23.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
As promised, get some text before we get out of here. Sixers game coming up in about 10 minutes. Tom to get us on the call here on 97.3 ESPN. Steven Ventnor chimed in, and I'm going to try to make sure I don't mischaracterize what Steve wrote, because he did write a lot here, but I don't have a lot of time to read it all, Steve, on the radio. But he said, here's my theory, Josh. The fact that there are two new coordinators is definitely a factor, but the Philadelphia Eagles are a reactionary team. They wait to see how teams are playing them, then they make in-game adjustments as needed. It may not be pretty, but it's working. Plus, their practice hours of actual physical on-field practice is among the lowest in the league. The sports science says they will be healthier during the year. They practice less. That's from Steven Ventnor. You are right that they are among, I mean, it's them, the Rams, a couple other teams that are heavy on the sports science. We don't practice a lot during the week. Now, there's two sides to that. Some people may say you don't practice a lot during the week means that your body's not fully ready to ramp up on Sunday. And so when you get to Sunday, your body, like Fletcher Cox or maybe Lane Johnson, maybe weren't prepped enough during the week to handle what could have happened on Sunday. Now, I don't want to read too much into Lane Johnson. Obviously, the reports are that he woke up and his surgically repaired groin was giving him problems. He got checked out by MRI. He cleared that. He tried to practice, warm up for the game. It didn't. It was a no-go to Jack Driscoll, who did a pretty good job aside from the one early pass rush he led through. So yeah, maybe that's what he said about that, the sports science isn't always right. But listen, if their strategy is they're going to react in game, my only response to that would be, Steven Ventnor, why didn't they do that in the Super Bowl last year? It felt like in the Super Bowl they regressed when they should have reacted differently than they did. But I think your point's still valid, though. Jeff in Ocean City, the aforementioned Jeff in Ocean City, who I mentioned earlier, chimes in, says Mike Schmidt thanked the Philadelphia fans at his Hall of Fame speech. I believe the Eagles and players appreciate the fans, demand excellence. I prefer to save my booze for bad officiating, and I'm enjoying this ride. Go Birds, from Jeff in Ocean City. Well, Jeff in Ocean City, first of all, thanks again for allowing me to go to the Eagles game yesterday. It was very thoughtful of you to enable me to go to the game as you did. Yeah, Mike Schmidt is a guy who has talked about multiple times that, a lot of people appreciate the fans maybe more after their career than during their career. I think that's a big part of it as well. I just think that sometimes, we don't always understand the big picture. So that's kind of at least how I look at it. So, but hey, you know what? Philly fans, like I said, they're a big part of a team's success, because you look at other places around the NFL, around sports, the fans are sometimes invisible. Really quick before we get out of here, huge college football weekend. I got to say that whatever happens tomorrow with the college football rankings, I'm not going to care, because all the answers I need are going to be answered this Saturday. Michigan beat Ohio State, takes Ohio State out of the running for the college football playoffs, which they shouldn't have been in the running for anyway, honestly. I want to know, though, if Washington wins the Pac-12, do you find a way to keep them out? Because in college football, we know these people who make these decisions don't always make it for the right reason. They make it for very subjective reasons. So Incredible weekend of football, some amazing games. Eagles might have been the game of the season. What a wild weekend of football. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Sixers, Lakers next on 97.3 ESPN.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Listen as Tim Saunders and Todd Fedoruk bring you all the exciting play-by-play action.
What a save by Carter Hart.
It's Flyers Hurricanes tomorrow night. Coverage begins at 7:30. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.